Live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Logos Daily. What is this? Live stream. That's what we're doing. It's Sunday afternoon on January the 24th. We have a new person with us. You've probably seen before, David before, myself. We've got Rick McCleary in the house all the way from Canada. Hello, Rick.
Hey, glad to be part of this. This is great.
Yeah, it is. If you don't know Rick, you need to get to know Rick. This guy is a machine. Like, he's teaching people in China. I know he's shaking his head no, but seriously, he's teaching people at China at like 2:30 in the morning all the way until 1:30 in the evening. No, he is like up super early teaching. I mean, it's just incredible. And so, Rick, we are so glad to have you with Logos Daily and part of the team. And it's just been a pleasure to get to know you more and more. Today, really what we're going to be doing is talking about some of the things that we've seen in the tips and tricks and kind of what are people having in questions with. If you've got any questions, don't hesitate to put them in the chat, whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook. Jason, our top brass, is not here, but I think I can get the chat stuff in. But we want to go through just a moment and talk about kind of what we've seen in the forums, and also to tell you a little bit more about Logos Daily and the services that we offer. But before we get to that, David, you've been doing some stuff lately with kind of notes. You're doing a lot of writing and searching through notes. And I know people, when they come to Logos, they're always kind of overwhelmed, or can be, with either one, how to use notes, or they don't know how it really works. And so sometimes they might feel underwhelmed. And you've gotten some, because it's different than like Evernote or OneNote, but you've really cracked, I think, the code on some note search parameters. And so can I pull your screen up and you kind of walk us through what you've been doing with notes?
Yeah, let me go ahead and close out some of these other tabs in Logos so that it's easier for people to see. Okay, go ahead. Okay, so this is honestly what I'm going to talk about is the search engine, and the search engine is probably the #1 reason why I invest so heavily in Logos. So before I got into Logos, I was pretty big into Kindle. I'm still big into Kindle because there's a lot of stuff in Kindle you can't get on Logos. You can do highlights in Kindle. You can do notes in Kindle. There is no easy way to find notes or highlights in Kindle. I know I have tried. I have found all of the legal and ethical backroads into that. It is not easy. It is not fun. It's doable, but Logos is not quite there. But there is a great trick that I just learned recently that makes it so much easier. So within the notes panel itself, you have all of your notes. You have mainly all of your filters, which is the pre-made filters. You can filter by highlights or by notes. You can filter by resource, and the resources they're all sorted by the number of notes you have in them. You can filter by Bible book, by reference. These are some really powerful searches, and I do want to encourage you to use them. But when you end up having more than about 200 or 300 notes or highlights, it can become a mess to even use this. So what I've learned is in the search box, you can actually do a search for within highlight, and you can do a search if you have multiple highlight schemas. You can use that. Like, I have one that is called Christian Living. And so let me remove this. So the benefit of this is within search, filter by resource. Right now I have it filtered by any resource that has the tag apologetics. So I can choose a group of resources I want to look for highlights in. So as you can see within my apologetics resources, I have 7 highlights, 4 results for the tag specifically Christian Living. Or I can do more generally with the asterisks and just look for any highlight of any kind whatsoever. And this is where it's incredible. This, you can see 47 resources, 1,400 results. Now that's a lot to filter through. So what you can do is use the keyword within, all capitals, and you can search for specific words within your highlights. And this reduces it to 231 results. The word, obviously we don't have 3 hours today for me to go through and show all of the variations, but you can do things like Jesus and resurrection in parentheses with highlight. You can exclude words. You can include other words. You can do options. You can add all kinds of different, different search things here. And we'd be happy to help you with, this either in our workshops or one-on-one. But this allows you to fine tune exactly what you're looking for in your highlights. Like I said, you can search for a specific highlight style that you use. You can search for specific words within highlights. You can limit the types of resources you're looking for. If you want to look only in commentaries, you can look only in commentaries. If you have tags for your for resources written between 1800 and 1900, you can do, search through those resources. So it is absolutely incredible how well you can fine tune this. The only thing I wish they would do is add this feature within the notes panel directly. Until they do, this works. So that's my spiel today on notes and searching.
That's awesome. Can you share one more time kind of what the syntax, the actual search parameter is? Yeah. If someone's wanting to search.
Yeah. And I just while he's doing that, I just wanted to say that I actually do have 3 hours that he could take today.
I like it.
I'm switching to what I'm sharing. So go ahead and pull me again, because in Notepad I can do, once my computer catches up with me, I'll be making the text bigger so you can actually read it. And now Notepad is frozen. I don't know how you freeze Notepad.
We could find a way. Okay, well. Hey, could you, when that comes up, are you willing to drop that in, like, maybe afterwards the comment section of the live stream or something? Because I think that'd be good. Good for people to see.
Here, let me send it in the private chat for you guys, so that one of you guys that's on there can send it. So this is just a sample that I used. And like I said, my overall search is I did, under the dropdown I did tag apologetics, because I have a lot of apologetics books. You can filter your resources however you want. You can do a specific collection. You can do, actually by example, Natasha Crane is a great apologetics author you can use. For some reason that picked only one of her books. But you can do by author. You can do by publisher. So yeah, the search, just you pick whatever word or word combo you want, use parentheses, get familiar with the and ors, and then within curly brace, highlight, asterisk, close curly brace. And so, like I said, what that does is it searches within things that are highlighted. If you don't use the word within, then it will just look for that word in anything that in a resource you have a highlight in, which can also be useful, but may return half your library, depending on how many highlights you have.
That's awesome. That's excellent. Mike, what is the snack of choice for today? I feel like it's a critical discussion.
So first of all, this is an exceptional new coffee from Onyx Coffee Lab, which if you don't know them, if you're a coffee lover, you absolutely need to check them out. But this is a biscotti.
All right.
It's like caramel chocolate, I think toffee, I don't know, biscotti. And it just makes me feel special.
I think you were doing biscotti last time we met.
There you go.
I like it. That answers that question. That's from me. That's not from anyone else. I had to know. Rick, you're here. Onyx Coffee Lab is right there. Rick, what is something, before you talk about libraries, what's something, Mike, David, and I are American. You're Canadian, our brother and friend of the North. What's something you think you wish Americans knew about Canada?
How to play hockey.
Okay. All right, that's fair. Because we don't know how to play hockey.
Oh, not like Canadians. No.
Not like Canadians.
It's just treasuring the outdoors. How to fight COVID. There's a good one for you.
Oh, burn. Man, I like where this is headed.
I want to hear from Rick what he think about this one. What he thinks about our current political situation.
Oh boy. Well, we certainly have been very fascinated with everything that's been happening. We watched the inauguration, and I thought it was very tastefully done. I thought it was very good.
That sounds
Yeah.
like something a Canadian would say.
Yeah,
Did you
middle
like
of the
the-
road, trying to make everyone happy. Yeah,
Rick,
eh?
did you like
Hey.
the mitten?
And see, Jason, he's going to learn not to miss anymore, because within 15 minutes we turn political, and this is the no spin zone. But Rick, no, I think that's great. My dad is a huge hockey fan with the Nashville Predators, and when we lived in Nashville, he had season tickets. So hockey is a big part of his life. Not so much now as it was a couple of years ago, but Rick, I'm so glad to know you. And one of the things that you've mentioned that you keep seeing people kind of trying to figure out is about downloading their resources. They buy these books, these packages, and then they're kind of wondering, well, where does it go? How do I find it? I sometimes see how much space do I need for the books, and you've got a great collection. You know, you've been using Bible software for years. So what are some of those general things that you've seen that you're like, oh, people need to know if they're buying the software or getting into it or downloading the resources? What do they need to know in terms of kind of their library?
Well, I came across this a little bit ago because I was watching one of my videos that I bought, one of the coursewares, and it kept freezing on me. And I thought, what's going on here? And it turned out that it wasn't included in my download. So I needed to download it. And so I had to go through the process of actually downloading it separately. And so I'll just walk you through it if you can share my screen.
Absolutely. Let me scroll down to you. Oh, I'm not seeing your screen. Let's see. Have you shared it?
So,
I think I heard that the this particular Restream package does not allow Canadian streaming, is what I heard.
No. Most of what they stream is maple syrup, and we all know that's
no, that's
slow.
not what I want. Just a second here.
Oh, you're doing fine. While you're doing that, Mike, I need a dad joke.
There we go.
Need a dad joke? Okay, I got one for you. I figured you were going to throw that at me.
Yeah,
so
that's not the curve yet, but
okay. So why were Indiana Jones, Lara Croft, and Nathan Drake so depressed?
I don't know why.
Because their careers were in ruins.
Oh.
Yes. Come on, that was
beautiful.
Good.
Yes, thank you. That's elevating our live stream. That's why people are here. Is those. All right, Rick, I've got your screen up.
Okay. So we've got our library here and the title screen, and then we want to open our library. So basically grab and draw. So you open it wide open. And of course it opened twice. There we go. So for example, the Doctrine of Salvation is a video I certainly didn't want to miss out on. So when I right-clicked and making sure that I opened the information tab on the far right, I noticed that it wasn't downloaded, and I have to actually push download to download it separately. So once you push download, it instantly goes in, and you've got it. Now, the other thing is if you look at the filter, if I go down the filter to the bottom, it actually lists the devices. It says on this device, I've got 281 courses, and there's only one that is not on this device. So if I push that, it will actually list it up there. Now it's downloading. So let's try something else. Okay. It's in the middle of the download. So the other thing you can do is if you want to download everything, then once again, make sure your information bar is open. And if you click the first item, and then you just hit Command A or Control A, it will list all of the different things. You can see my magical wheel there appearing. And then on the right, it will say, okay, I've got 23,874 resources downloaded. There's only one that is not downloaded. So here I can actually just put the download the one, and it will download it and include it in my library. So by looking at this, by using your Control A or Command A, and using the filter on the left-hand side, sorry, you can easily see what things are included in your library and what things are not. You can see that on my device, I've got 23,873 items. And of course, it's scrolling through. And then on my iPad, I actually have 22,000 of them. And then it lists the things that are not on the iPad and things not on my iPhone, etc. So this filter on the left-hand side is great for deciphering what things are in your library and what are not in your library. And good.
That's fantastic. And Rick, there's an option, right, in the program settings, not just for the library, but for the whole program, where you can automatically download all new resources, right?
Yes. Yeah. You know, you can go up and make sure everything's downloaded right from the start. So with mine, I hadn't pushed that, but now everything is automatically downloaded, and that there. So if I wanted to just figure out what thing is not downloaded, I would just go down to not loaded on this device. I push it once. Oh, and we've got our Cornelius Van Til that is not downloaded. And then it's just a matter of clicking it, and I can push the download. And lo and behold, it will be included in my library, and my library will now be complete.
That's awesome. It's not complete without a little bit Van Til. I've said that one
that's for sure.
time. You've got to have
include the Dutch.
It's and I want to say this too, like, because we get questions about library, or people do. They get we get questions about, well, how much, like my library may be a little bit slow. What do I do? The biggest things you're going to want to look at are the kind of hard drive you've had. And if you've got an HHD, which is like a spinning hard drive, over what's known as an SSD, man, I would encourage everybody to upgrade to an SSD. And particularly if your motherboard has like an M.2 format SSD, which if you've never heard of those things, that's okay. Reach out to one of us. I would love nothing more. I built my computer exactly for Logos. That's why I built it. And you can do like a 2.5-inch SSD, or they even make for your expansion for your PCI lane on your motherboard. You can put an M.2 format in that PCI. I think it's your PCI 1 slot, and you can have super fast hard drive. That's one thing. The other thing is your memory. And so I don't know what the website says. I think 16 gigs is really kind of minimum for memory for Logos, and 32 if you can swing it. But that happens too with libraries. They get this big library and they're thinking, well, why is it so slow? And you really need to think about the SSD. And you can get like 250 gig SSDs right now for $50. I know a 500 gigabytes for like $50, 240 gigs for like $26, $27 US on Amazon. And so it's not hugely, I mean, I don't know everybody's situation, but if you're thinking about, generally I found if you're frustrated with the software, you're probably not going to use it a whole lot. And so, it's a good thing. But man, Rick, that is so helpful.
Hey,
and
Riley,
Mike is here. Hey, go ahead. Somebody say something.
Before we jump off the library, I think there was a question by Reed David. How do you get that whole list of your entire library? Where do I, when I can click the books, I just get a search box. So I don't know if one of you guys want to address that. I know that you can hit Control L or Command L to open up your entire library. Rick, you might want to share your screen again and maybe kind of show exactly what you did, where you clicked.
Yep. So I'm basically opening the library and I'm dragging it so that the whole thing opens up. And then the filter up here is really where the power is. So I like to leave my filter open, and it will list everything that is here. And then if you want to see how many you've got in your actual library, it's just a matter of clicking any of the resources and just making sure you don't click over the name of the resource, but clicking sort of to the right. and then it will list it up here, and then you hit Command A or Control A, and we should see that wheel appear. And then that will give you how many resources that you've got in the top right-hand corner. So you can see the 23,874, and then the list on the filter again is at the bottom. And at the bottom, it will say on this device, how much do I have? How much do I have on my iPad, my iPhone, whatever devices you've got. So this filter on the left-hand side is great. It really helps. So I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, I think it did. And for those that like shortcuts, Control L, Command L, that opens it up in a floating window, your library as well. So that can be helpful if you're using multi-screens or anything of that nature. Awesome, man.
And David mentioned about the click and drag. That is a great feature, because otherwise the library just opens up in some small thing, and it's not really that usable. But if you drag it, it makes it full screen and very visible.
Yep, good stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I hardly ever use it in the little pop out. It's always in the thing. Mike, you don't even know what I'm going to ask you, and so we're about to put a Logos code to the test. Here's the question, and the question is: someone wants to do some more what they consider advanced searches, morphological searches, like how to search for all the pluperfects in the New Testament or all the imperfects of Didasco in the third person. And so they want to know about teaching in the imperfect in the third person. How do you get them there?
Well, Rylan, I actually have a call right now. Just kidding. I'm totally joking. So probably the best way to show how to do this is, and probably the easiest way without any like syntax searching, is really just the power of the context menu. Mm-hmm. So if you right click on any particular, this is how I tend to learn this stuff. These items, you've got the manuscript, lemma, you've got the root, and then you got this awesome right here, which is morph, okay? If you click on the morph, which is the @ okay, and then perform a search, doesn't matter, just perform a search, right? Do it in a Bible, you can do it that way. You get the automatic syntax already told to you as to what it is. So you'll see up in the upper right-hand corner, we've got this nice little morphology right here, okay? If we come into here and we so this is not, so traditionally in one other search that I'm going to show you in just a second, you can backspace, okay? That's going to show you the exact Logos morphology, Greek morphology that you can use in the syntax, okay? If you come back to, you're putting me to the test, dude.
You're doing great, though. You're doing it.
All right, so if you come back and you utilize, I'm going to do I'm trying to remember which one it is. It's not inline. I don't do a lot of morph searching. Hold on a second, man.
You got it.
It's not that one. It's not that one. Hang on.
And while you're doing that, let me just shout out that you can't break Logos, and what you're doing is exactly what someone needs to do to use the software because none of us remember everything that software can do. And oftentimes it's a lot of, oh, what does that do? What does that do? And just kind of going through those different context menu searches opens up your world.
So now that I've figured it out, so there's several different types of searches down here, and each one is going to perform just a little bit different nuance, okay? I don't know what they're all called, but all of these are going to be specific to the word, okay? And you can't really change a whole lot of what type or anything of that nature. But this last one where the actual word itself along with the morphology is the one that you want. So this is going to pull up all of the words, the lemma, Gentile, in this particular form. So what is the form? It's the noun, dative, plural, and I believe the last one was neuter, okay? So all you need to do is if you want to go back and just look at all of the nouns, you just want to be generic, okay? You can backspace on these and just hit enter. Now we've got, you'll see 161 results, okay, in 149 verses, versus if we come up here and we say we want the dative, plural, neuter, now we've got 32 when they're in that specific morphology, okay? The actual noun, date. And again, if you don't know what dative is, just hold the mouse over top, because I don't. I mean, I don't know what all this is. I'm not a Greek or a Hebrew scholar in any way. It will give you kind of a description real quick. One of the things I wish they would change is that it would stay there. It goes away. Sometimes I can't read all the information fast enough. So you do have to sometimes go back and forth. So what is dative? The case that is regularly used for indirect objects and the objects of some prepositions. So you can mess with this and update and change. Again, these are all the morphological structures that are specific to the word that you're looking at, okay? So notice that is the actual lemma, okay? If you were to come in here and change the lemma, you can learn some of this stuff very quickly by noticing that if I come in and do a different one, for example, okay, and I do the same search, notice that the only thing that's changing, you can change all of this, but you can also change the word. So if you actually copy this lemma up here, okay, if I came in here and did this lemma and I wanted to copy it to another potential search over here, you could do it. There's not going to be a noun in that particular structure because the word that I've clicked on, which is received, is a verb, okay? But you can use that syntax back and forth. You can kind of figure out what it is so that you can get a little bit more familiar with it. Same thing, backspace up here, it brings up the actual morphology that you can look at. If you need to change whether it's Greek, Aramaic, Hebrew, if you're looking in Old Testament, New Testament, or some of the other things, you can actually use that drop-down menu as well. So I hope that was, did I nail it, Rylan?
I want to point out, this is what, before we talk about what Logos Daily offers in detail, this is what you get in a one-to-one coaching session. You're able to ask a question to someone like Mike and say, how do I do this? And he's going to sit down and do it for you and show you how to do it. And that's invaluable. And I don't know if you saw this, but the person who asked the question, he said, so helpful. I didn't know you could access the morph search like that through the context menu. Thank you so much. And just like that one thing is going to open up your world. So you nailed. I tried to throw you a question to stump you, but I couldn't stump a Logos coach. It's not happened yet. Another question we got is this. Is it possible, coming back to library management, is it possible to put the library on an external drive when you start running out of space on the computer? Great question. That comes up all the time. And to that, I want to say, where there's a will, there's a way, but it's not a good idea. And really, if you can afford it, I think everybody needs 2 hard drives in their computer. And so like my main hard drive on my computer holds the operating system and Logos, and that's it. That's how I designed it. And then I've got a second hard drive that has all the other stuff. And then because my computer, I want the primary stuff for Logos. That's why I built the machine. What do you all think about kind of hard drive setup with Logos? And Jason, did you shave your beard?
I did. Can you hear me?
You look different. Have you ever had a beard?
I just can you hear me fine? I just threw everything together and sat down.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And welcome.
I have to say that Jason looks like he's used to hosting a podcast at some like cheek, like professional. I don't know what, like he looks legit, man.
No, I just ran up here and threw my stuff together. I was trying to watch, and cool. I was like, I hope they let me in. I don't know if you will, or how that works, but yeah, I shaved a little.
I'm hiding my double chins is what I'm doing.
Yeah. Dude, I actually hopped on to say the most important thing, and Rylan, I messaged you this. I'm like so thankful for you guys. It's so fun to watch. And I'm seeing comments too, like it's so cool. Yeah, it's just cool. That's it.
Love it. Rylan, to answer the question about the hard drive, I will say that it is imperative to put if you have a large Logos library. Now, I didn't know this, but Guys, Rick is the first person that I have met that has a library larger than mine. So he's got like 3,000 more than me. I feel, man, I'm going to have to go buy something today. So if you have a large library, okay, I would say larger than a couple of thousand. Okay. If you've got like a standard, couple thousand in your library, it's probably not going to be as big of a deal. But if you've got a very large library, you absolutely should get a totally different solid state hard drive just for Logos. I've got a computer that runs on 64. Actually, it's 72 gigs of RAM right now.
That's crazy.
I want to go to 128, but I can't figure it out yet.
David, what's the rule?
I know. But what really made it shift is buying just a totally different hard drive that all it has on it is my Logos library. That's it. It's all it's got on it is that library. And that way, that's the only thing that's getting hammered on that library. So I love it.
So I can speak. Ironically, even though I work in the IT industry, I'm probably the outsider here. I have Logos on an external drive that's not solid state. Now,
we just keep.
All right, now that he's gone, let's bring him back.
I'm saying that to encourage those who aren't able to get a second drive or a solid state. Rylan over here playing games. Mm-hmm. I'm saying, I will be honest. I have about 9,000 resources. It runs slow. Now, it doesn't run, I can't use it slow. But if I run the wrong search on it, I do break it. So I have to be careful about what I'm running it. But for 99% of everything I'm doing, it works fine. But it is a little lagging. So, yes, you can get an external drive. You can use it. No, it's not recommended. You will encounter lag with it. But let's be realistic. If you can afford an external hard drive and you can't afford an internal hard drive, or you don't know how to assemble the internal, or you don't know how to put in, install the internal hard drive, yeah, get an external hard drive. Do what you can. Don't do what's best if you can't do what's best.
So okay, I'm just going to clarify because I didn't know this. You actually can use it from an external hard drive. You need it like on desktop. Is that how it works?
Okay. So what you have to do, so I have a laptop and I have a USB connected external hard drive.
Yeah.
When I did the install,
yeah,
I had to tell it, go to that drive. You can't do it split where you have, most of your library on the internal, or you have the software on the internal and the library on the external. It's a one-place install. Unless you go, I don't know if you can go into the Reg editor and change it, but
so then my concern is you unplug it, and if I run down to the coffee shop and come back, plug it back in, I can't use it at the coffee shop, but I could use it when I get home again.
So you can't switch computers with that because of the way, like you'd have to go into some like back end Reg editing, Reg. I do not recommend that at all. But
I do.
Okay, I'm not going to tell you how to do it. If you break your machine doing that, then. But no, legitimately. And like I said, I'm just saying that to encourage you. Of if you can afford a $250 external USB drive just to get it, hey, that's what you can afford. Save up for something better, in the long term. But in the short term, it works.
All right, so we've got a great question from, want to say two things. We've got a question from Stephen. Brian Ramden has asked, I know he's watching, a question about how to use Logos to teach a simple Sunday school lesson. Great question. I'm going to answer Brian in the description after we end here because we're trying to keep these within 45 minutes. But your question is fantastic, and I'm going to put it in there, Brian, so everybody can see. But we want to answer this question. Can someone explain the difference between a syntax search and a morph query search? And since Mike was kind of doing that, Mike, what is the difference? Because that's a big question. Here's another curveball coming at you.
And for that, we're going to call a lifeline.
I don't know the difference.
I don't know the official difference. Okay, if I were to ask, maybe the tech people at Faith Life, but really syntax searches are much broader as far as you're going to be able to utilize it. And maybe that's wrong. Maybe I'm totally wrong on that. Rylan, do you like that answer?
Sounds good to me. I think you're right on, Mike. You keep rolling. Right?
Well, you're kind of right. So a morph search has to deal with the form of the word. So when we're thinking of verb, noun, adverb, those sorts of things, syntax is the grammatical construction within a verse. And so think of you're most likely going to use morphology. Like when people think like deep logos searching, most of the time they're thinking morphological searches of, I want to find out how many times didasco is used in the imperfect third person. Syntax is much, much harder to search for.
Yes.
But it's like it's like the syntax of a sentence. I'm going to define it with a word, but it's helpful. Like the more I encourage everybody to do syntax searching. I don't use it much.
So I'm gonna jump in here because you jumped in and you stole my thunder because you thought I was wrong. Okay.
It's getting right.
I love what you said. Okay. But I believe that syntax is much more broader. It can be used in much more broader aspects because morphology is just with the words. That's all you can do. Whereas syntax searches, you can look at words just like we saw earlier where Rylan talked, or what's his name? I can't even remember people's names now because you took the names off, man. You got to put the names back on. David. There you go. David mentioned earlier that you could do the syntax searches inside the notes. Like you could actually use that stuff inside of other items.
Not quite.
Steven's watching us. Look, Steven's watching us get like tearing apart from the inside, and he's like, "Guys, I just want to know." Like he's just like, "All right, settle down."
I love it.
Okay, I think that's something we're going to have to look into and get back to on Steven, because we can actually take the time to build that out and then explain that specifically. I do want to say though, Mike, there's two different ways in which you use the word syntax. There's the syntax search itself within the search box, which is its own tab, its own thing. And that, you're right, it is more general in the sense that, like the first time I messed with it, it was to figure out a way to search for any time you have words twice in a row. So like holy, holy, or verily, verily, I say to you. So it is very powerful within it. But then within the larger computer context, syntax is simply the way a search structure is made. And that's regardless of whether you're in Logos or in programming language or anything. So that's the way I was using syntax, is the way it was actually the way you write it out, not in that specific type of it. And okay, yes, so you're happy now that someone liked your dad joke.
No, I was actually thumbs up because you're absolutely right. I don't think I hardly ever use the syntax, like the specific syntax search, but I do use the syntax to search.
Yeah. Well, that's why I wanted to clarify, because that's what I hate with multiple words having multiple meanings. Yeah. The syntaxing, from what I've seen, I have not been able to master that syntaxing, but from what I have seen, it is incredibly powerful, because you can do things like pick, like I said, double words. You can pick a specific organization of like noun, verb, noun, or however set up you want to do it. It's incredible. But it's also well beyond what most people will be doing searches for in Scripture.
Yeah.
We're going to have to do a live stream or even a workshop on syntax searching, I think would be good, because it's useful. So like a couple weeks ago when we were trying to figure out repeated words, that's the first place I went towards was an actual syntax search. But it's really, it is kind of next level Logos stuff. Most people are going to do morphological searches is what they mean. Jason, our fearless leader, as I call our top brass, you're here. Before we go, you're not? Okay. Who is our top brass? Rick. You're here, Rick. What? No. Jason, what do we have going on? We got some workshops coming up and coaching.
Yes.
What do we need to know?
Yes. That's good to know. That's definitely good to know. We've got, at our new website. We've got workshops coming up. I think I've got an FAQ on the 7th. There's spots open in that. I was just wondering, Rylan, how many people are in your? We've got a sermon prep again. We've got 4 out of 6 spots full on that one at the end of the month in February. In between the two, February 19th, there's another workshop on notes. And that one's got some seats in it as well. Yeah, for sure, Rylan. The 25% off code, like if you're watching and like some of this stuff is just got your curiosity piqued, like sit down with us in a group setting. And then Rick, that's like, I think that was my first interaction with you. So, I mean, like, I feel like you could share, like, the group workshops are something, it's legit, and it's an easy way to just learn a ton while you're working with a few other people. I mean,
yeah,
you agree.
Absolutely, for sure. Yeah, no, it's the group sessions are just fantastic. It's you get your individual questions answered, and you build on other people's questions. So, you think of something a little differently than someone else, and it just takes it a whole new level. And I know I've been to the workshops with Rylan, I've been to with Mike, and both absolutely terrific, and just fantastic experiences, and makes you light years ahead in your use of Logos and drawing close to the Savior.
I think that's a good point in like feeding off of one another and having a conversation instead of it being I mean, I always go back to this. Video tutorials are usually not much help to me. The most help is when I can like sit down with someone and they can take the mouse in a sense and like run through the software with me and be like, no, I don't go that way, go this way or whatever. Instead of video tutorials where I watch it and then I try to like follow along and click stuff. But so the communal aspect of a group workshop, I feel like is the most helpful. But yeah, the code's down there at the bottom, 25 off workshop. And we have the same for coaching actually. Rylan, I mean, if you have it ready, you could throw it up there, but 25 off coaching also works if you're looking for a 1 hour one-on-one session with any of the coaches and you want to work through that. Send us a message or contact us through the website if you want any information on that as well. But just really check out the website for more information. Yeah, I think that's the most we've got coming up. Rylan, do we have any podcasts or videos dropping this week?
Let me look up who we are. We've got a bunch of stuff coming up, which I'm very excited about. And this week we're going to have let me see who it is. Oh, where's it at? Let me look it up. Someone else say something really quick.
While you're checking that out, Stephen did ask about workshops being recorded. We've discussed as a lead team making those available after the fact. But as it stands right now, if you pay to be in any of our workshops, if you've joined us and you've got a seat in the workshop, you do get a recording of it after the fact. But we're discussing what it might look like if we open those recordings up. Maybe you let us know if that's something you'd be interested in. If it's a membership or something like that, that would unlock all the workshops that we've had in the past. The downside is that you don't get to pop your questions up and like put Mike on the spot right away, like Rylan does every single video call that we seem to have. But the upside is that you'll get access to a history of pretty cool workshops. So let us know if that's something you're interested in, Stephen, or anybody else watching.
And so this week, that's a great question. This week is Madison Pierce, a PhD at, I think, TEDS, Trinity Evangelical Divinity School. Great. She's a Hebrew scholar, not Hebrew, the book Hebrew, in the New Testament. Just a fantastic, interesting person to talk to. And then I'm going over my list right now. I think we've got interviews coming up with people like Tom Schreiner, which kind of a standard in theological circles. So, in fact, I've not told Jason that yet. So Tom Schreiner, and then I got interviews with.
Well, Schreiner, is that the commentary on Hebrews that was just added to the library, right, Rylan? Right. Sweet.
And then Wesley Hill, who is at Trinity School for Ministry, written a book on a Lord's Prayer book. And so we've got some, I think, pretty interesting people that we're going to be talking to. So cool. Thursdays are generally when those come out. We've been pretty consistent. And this week, Madison Pierce. And as always, we'll do the podcast on our podcast, which is available iTunes, all the places. and then we'll put the video up on our Logos Daily YouTube page.
Yeah, I just had a thought. This just might be fun. If you're watching and you've stuck with us for 49 minutes or however long this has been, and you have someone that you think would be fun to interview or for us to sit down with, drop the name, tag them or tag us or whatever you need to do. Or again, use the email that's on our website and let us know. I think that'd be a lot of fun too.
Rylan, I think we should interview Michael Heiser.
That's what I was just gonna say.
He's on the list
because
I'm not contacting him.
He could absolutely teach us some stuff about Logos too.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would be, and the Madison Pierce is a Logos user. And so she uses it and the competition, but she uses Logos for the, I'm not going to say the competition's name, but she's really in accordance with Logos Bible software is what she uses. And with her library management, she buys most of her commentaries and stuff in Logos. So that was cool. That was cool. Like a scholar like that to talk about Logos and her process. And we talk about that on the interview on Thursday.
Very cool.
So anything else, Jason? Or anybody else?
I don't think so. No.
All right. We've gone 51 minutes. Guys, check us out on the website. We are so thankful for you. We love our community. We love everybody. We love people who love the Lord and, people who can come together and study the word and help one another across to me, it's like a perfect image of the body of Christ. I know we're all across the spectrum theologically in the group, and yet everybody's, for the most part, very cool and just kind of, which is the hallmark of the body of Christ, is really cool. So no, it's everybody coming together, doing something bigger than themselves, and that's exciting. So reach out to us, logos-daily.com, and Lord willing, we'll see y'all next time.